Hey folks, so we're at the house that I would normally take you to as a class, but we can't really do that this year, so I'm going to show you the furnace room of the house. So houses often have a room like this, whereas the furnace and the water heater, what we call the mechanicals, the mechanical room or the furnace room. Sometimes they're not in a dedicated room like this, but often they are. So we're just going to walk up and have a look at the equipment. So we'll look at this furnace first. And just looking at this, you should be able to tell, is this a gas furnace or an electric furnace? So I'm going to let you think on that for a second. And while you're trying to figure it out, I'm going to ask you, what is that thing right there? That tube, okay? So that is a chimney, a vent for flue gases. It's going outside through the wall. So inside this, there is a bunch of gas jets, and the gas comes on down in here, heats up. Hot gases, flue gases go out this. The hot air goes out this, up into the ductwork of the house. So it's a pretty simple thing. Now we want to try to figure out what is the AFUE on this. So we've got a model number. It's a Carrier Weathermaker 8000. What we have to find is something that tells us how big it is, how many BTUs per hour this furnace is. So I'm going to look around and see if I can find a tag, and I don't see anything right on the outside. So we're going to have to look around, and we might not find one. I don't see it. We'd have to take the cover off and look for a label inside. All right, so I think I have a picture of that somewhere else, so I'll dig that out and show that to you. But one thing you could do is go online and look for a Carrier Weathermaker 8000 and look up the AFUE. Now, this is where the cold air comes back down into the furnace from the house, goes into the furnace, heats up, goes back out, does this big cycle, blows out into the house in various vents, comes back in through a couple places, and I'll show you those upstairs. Now we're going to look at the water heater. So again, can you tell, is this an electric water heater or a gas water heater? Look at this thing right there, that gray, that's a chimney, all right? So that's venting. There's basically a tank of water, and there's a fire, gas fire down low, and there's a chimney that runs right up through that water heater. So as the heat runs up through that chimney, it transfers the heat into the cold water. Water heaters have an energy guide on them typically, and they tell you that based on a certain unit cost of gas, how much energy you would expect to use over the course of a year to pay for water heating. All right, so this is, let's look here, this is a Moreflow gas-lined water heater. Down here is going to be some information that could be helpful. And I'm looking to see if it gives what's called the energy factor. It says the tank is insulated to an R2.4. Not a lot of insulation. It's like a door. Let's see. I don't see an energy factor number on here, but we could look that up. The energy factor tells you what portion of the energy actually gets transferred into the water and what portion gets exhausted through the chimney. This is a 40-gallon container, tank container. This is an overflow pipe. When water heats up, it expands. Well, if it gets too hot, it can expand bigger than the tank can hold, and it can blow the tank up. So in case it does that, it'll come shooting out this tube just onto the floor and go down to a drain, and it won't blow your tank up. Let's see, I'm going to go back up here. There's the model number. We can look it up and find out what's called the energy factor, because I don't see it on here. Okay, now I'm going to go upstairs and show you some other stuff. So that's the mechanicals, pretty simple stuff.